Welcome back to Marvel Maniac, an MCU after show. I'm Eric Cicada, your host, aka Mr. Honest of the Mr. Honest podcast, the one that got it going for me. We are here today to talk about WandaVision, episode 6. As I'm recording it, yet I don't know the title as usual, but I'm finding usually the titles are available like right after I record this podcast. Currently, about 2 hours after the episode premiered. Big episode as usual. It seems this is one of those shows where it just keeps getting better and better and better, and we are here to talk about every minute, every beat, every second. So we got a lot to talk about this week. What did you think? I do want your thoughts. I would love to hear them. marvelmaniacpod@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter. Just getting going on Twitter. Not a lot of tweets from us recently, but let's get some Twitter action going at Marvel Maniac Pod on Twitter. Get at me at Eric Cicada at ERICSEQUEIRA on Twitter. Okay, let's get into this episode. Enough promotion, enough spamming. WandaVision, episode 6. So in the recap, I had a brother named Pietro, and it shows a clip from Ultron of Pietro getting shot and dying. I don't know why, but I just love homage to other MCU, and just seeing the shot in the recap next to the other clips of the show, tying the movies together with the show. It's just good. It's just good. I mean, when you're trying to tie bows in the Star Wars movies, neat little bows from trilogies that are 20 years apart, made 20 years apart or so, it's a little tougher. But when you're consistently, brushing things up every couple of years, man, it just makes things so clean. And I really love what they're doing here. All right, the first note is on the recap. Let's try to keep this going. She recast Pietro. Literally, in the first few minutes, the recap is even getting me going. I had so much hype going into this. I'm like, where is this going? So I saw a tweet, and I know you shouldn't believe everything you read online. It was like a prayer circle. I heard this episode was going to be 55 minutes long. I wrote short episode 37 minutes, even though there have been shorter episodes, but I had expected this one to be 55 minutes long, which for me, in terms of my note taking and the way I watch these episodes, I go back and rewind moments a lot of times. It would probably take me 2.5 hours to watch it, which is not a problem, but I was really anticipating longer. But it did take me a long time to watch this one because this was a pretty interesting episode. So we start with our 90s intro, but as we look further into the episode, I'm kind of thinking this is more like early 2000s. I don't know. What do you think? Tommy has a handheld camera, and he's running around the house, catching freeze frames of Wanda in the bathroom, giving oh, what are you doing? Look. And Vision and the cast. And Agnes has naughty written on her butt. Just pointing that out. kind of it's very very of the times. Yeah, that's why I think I was writing 90s, but then there's a couple of indicators later in the film. I wrote later, I'll just say now, they're walking out of a movie, and it's in the movie on top of the theater it's written Incredibles and The Parent Trap, and I'm assuming it's the Lindsay Lohan one, and those are both early 2000s for sure, not 90s. So it's a mix of the two. I mean, it's Wanda's vision, right? She's kind of mixing her own realities, and I don't know if there's any definitive clear lines. It's not like they're saying this is the 90s week and this is the 70s week, and you know what I mean. So yeah, it's a pretty fun 90s, early 2000s as theme song. We're definitely moving through the ages here, and it's just so shocking to see. It does say, Pietro as Pietro, but it's so shocking to see Evan Peters and Awesome with the cast. Man, that must have been tough to keep under wraps. One of those really hard things for the cast and crew and everything. That's one of those Baby Yoda thing, Grogu things, or just one of those hard secrets to keep under wraps for the cast. So getting into the plot, it's Halloween in Westview, okay, and I'm getting a lot of Malcolm in the Middle vibes here from Billy and Tommy, like breaking the fourth wall, and they're like telling us about Halloween, like what Halloween's all about. And the twins are really interested in their uncle, and like they're in this moment their sleeping uncle, and when he starts to chase them, it's actually super funny and wholesome, and it made me laugh. I thought that was really, really adorable. Wanda here, as we've seen in the trailers, and a lot of stills. Amazing, beautiful Elizabeth Olsen classic, donning her classic comic book attire. She says she's a Sokovian fortune teller. Vision comes down wearing a costume resembling his classic comic book attire, as we've also seen in the trailers. Both look awesome. Vision's a little more costumey than Wanda's. I mean, Wanda's is costumey, but Vision's is like, I don't know. I don't know. He seems a little more costumey to me. Maybe it's just Elizabeth Olsen's maybe just a little more flattery. Maybe it's just me. Vision sarcastically mentions that Pietro is great with kids as they're shotgunning sodas together, and Wanda says he's full of surprises, and she also mentions that like she kind of feels like he's not the same brother she once had, so she's kind of on to something there. Vision wants to go on neighborhood watch, and Wanda, being a little controlling, a little bit. She's like, I didn't know you had plans. It's the kid's first Halloween, and Pietro's like, I'll hang out with the twins, and like Wanda really wants like, she's like clearly wants like doesn't want Vision to go. Obviously she's kind of controlling over him, and is very weary of him leaving her sight because of what happened, most likely the fight they were having, and number one priority is probably Vision for her, but now the kids are there and her brother's back and she's also completely different, so there's a lot on her mind. So Vision going on neighborhood watch probably is something, it's out of her mind, out of sight, out of mind. So it's a good excuse for Vision to get out of the house. Not too shabby, Vision, not too shabby. Pietro, Tommy, and Billy are most definitely the comedic relief in this episode. Even though Pietro has some reality breaking moments, it's more of like Wanda's definitely the reason he's there, and he's more like all these moments like, yeah, it's you who brought me here. But like, he's such a goofball, and this Quicksilver is so funny, and I really like him. And him, Billy, and Tommy are really, they're a blast. So Tommy and Pietro, they have matching speedster costumes, and this, I looked this up. This is the classic Quicksilver. Is based off of the classic Quicksilver attire from the comics. Very cool reference. Dig it. I'm gonna do a quick little pause here. Okay. I'm aware of internet theories, people. There's a huge one surrounding a comic book villain. His name is Mephisto. He's basically the devil. I don't know a lot about Marvel Comics, and I don't want to get in a ring with a bunch of I don't want to get in a theory ring and basically read a bunch of other theories and go off of something that I don't know anything about. I'm just going to go off of what I know based off of the information that I have, which is, I know what I have off of these movies and the story that I'm given. So this is what this podcast is, and I'm completely open to those theories, and I'm excited to hear about I'm excited to hear those theories, but I'm not seeking them or basing my theories off of them. That being said, I'm so excited to be reviewing this show. And if it does end up being this Mephisto thing, I know Marvel will present it in a way that I will be engaged as a new fan, and it'll be, I don't know, it'll just be brought up like Thanos was, Thanos was an end credit scene on the first Avengers movie, and I had no idea who he was, and I was so intrigued enough to look him up, but it wasn't like taking away from the Avengers movie. It was just like a tack on, and like I got to like build up hype to learn about Thanos, who he was over time. So it's not like not knowing about who Mephisto is now is really hurting my experience with this. And I don't think like they're gonna do some like huge reveal. Like it's like if you like, I think this Mephisto thing is kind of. I'm not trying to hurt anybody who's really set on this happening, but if it, this Mephisto theory, I think it's a little bit too harshly leaned on, but it's a theory and anything can happen. Anything can happen. Marvel's all about pleasing fans. They're all about also misleading, and they're all about shocking, and anything can happen. I am not closed off to anything, and I'll be excited any way this goes, because I know it will be done right. So let's keep going through the episode. So we were a little far into the episode at this point, and I wasn't sure if we were going to be outside of the show again, but now it seems like, okay, from this point forward in WandaVision, we're going to be moving back and forth outside of, it's hard to say, like the TV show that Wanda's creating and the outside world. It wasn't clear up until this point in this episode of WandaVision. I have to phrase it like that because I'm realizing, like, when I say episode, it's not clear if I'm talking about the episode that Wanda's creating or the episode of the TV show WandaVision. So I wasn't sure if it was going to be outside of Wanda's episode, but it was. So we were outside of the base. The energy field was extra glowy still, so that thing, when Wanda went back in it, the anger is still outside the field. So what I thought was a drone last week that they sent in, it was a missile. So that's what made Wanda angry. It makes a lot more sense to me now why she was a little bit more angry. This was being brought back in and analyzed by Hayward's team. I take a lot of quotes here because there's a lot that's said here. It's a lot. I believe Monica has a big part to play in this story. Monica Rambeau, my favorite character, underdog character of this series so far. I mean, I do love Darcy and Wu. Tag team. Awesome team. Monica tells Hayward that she cut them off at the knees for sending in that missile. Darcy's giving Hayward a hard time. Wu's giving Hayward a hard time. Basically, I mean, they're not really giving a hard time. It's rightfully giving him a hard time, really. Hayward argues that if they take Wanda out, that the nightmare will end. This nightmare will end. Then Monica goes on to rebuttal that they have no idea what will happen, actually, if Wanda dies inside of the energy field or outside of the energy field. Like, what's going to happen inside or outside when she dies. It's a great point. Wanda's so powerful. She's controlling all of this energy, all of these people. Who knows what could happen when all of that is just released. She's like a nuclear bomb in a sense. If Wanda is the problem, she has to be our solution. That's what Monica said. And this is an exact quote from Hayward. Captain Rambeau. Sorry, I did voice to speech, so I'm gonna just go with that because some of them are funny. Captain Rambeau, you have become an impediment to this mission, constantly advocating on behalf of superpowered individuals. What's wrong with that? What's so bad with superpowered individuals? Okay, I get it. They cause a lot of destruction. I remember. Okay, Scovia Accords, right. Yes, okay, back to the quote. Yes, I know your history with Carol Danvers. You people who left still have the luxury of optimism. You have no idea what it was like, what it took to keep the lights on. So he's talking about the snap and staying alive during those 5 years and what it was like being gone with half a civilization gone. And, I saw some speculation online, on Reddit that Monica had a falling out with Carol, some spite maybe, I don't know. there was some, because of her reaction to, the Captain Marvel comment last week or the week before it. And they said, we're not here to talk. She said, we're not here to talk about Captain Marvel. We're here to talk about Wanda Maximoff. But I kind of like to hear that there's a good history with Carol Danvers, and I think we're gonna get some follow up with that, Monica and Carol. Okay, so he says, you people left with all that optimism, and she says, don't use the last years as the 5 last years as an excuse for being a coward. And then he says the coldest thing. Maybe it's a good thing you weren't here when your mother died because you don't have the stomach for this job. Yeah, so I officially don't like Hayward. I mean, I didn't before, but that was freaking cold, man. That was cold, like cold as ice. So, like, as they're walking out, Wu's like, this is like not, Wu's pretty much saying, this is like against protocol. And then he just like uppercuts some random guard. So much for Sword not being the baddies. I was saying, is it around that I feel safe at Sword at the beginning? I mean, they have good intentions, right? Right? I don't know. But go Wu. Anyway, go Wu. That was kick-ass. Loved it. He is not standing for this. He's done. Now we're back in Westview. Okay, so Wanda and Pietro are out with the kids. They're trick-or-treating. All is well, normal, right? And then she asks, Wanda's kind of like feeling Pietro out. She asked him if he remembers the name of a kid that used to steal his boots. And then he's like, you're testing me. This Pietro actually brings up that he knows he looks different. And then Wanda asks him, why do you look different? And he's like, you tell me. If I found Shangri-La, I wouldn't want to be reminded of the past either. So, like, there's, like, a lot of self-awareness going on here. But not really. Like, I don't know. Like, this Pietro is just, like, a fever dream, right? Like, he half knows who he is. He's half the guy from the other X-Men movies. He has half the memory of this Pietro from the MCU. He's all over the place, and I love him. I think he's fantastic, but he's also insane. He is also insane. Wanda is always having trouble seeing what's really happening. I do wonder whether it's this Mephisto people are always speculating, or if someone is pulling the strings behind this, aside from Wanda just losing control of her powers. If there's someone pushing Wanda, I don't know. Wanda has motivation, and she might have just lost control in the stress of everything that's happened to her, right? I mean, okay, let's just keep moving. It's something to think about. So Wanda approaches Herb. I almost want to say Herb. Herb dressed as Frankenstein. Really great outfit. I mean, Wanda dressed him up real good. He looks awesome. And Pedro and Tommy are like in the background, zooming around, causing havoc, stealing candy, wrecking pumpkins, #Dream Team. Herb reveals to Wanda that by accident, the Vision is not really on neighborhood watch. Cut to Vision walking down the middle of the street. This was in a lot of the promo shots. Really cool shot. He sees a lady sort of caught in like a loop. This is very Truman Show. Vision's got this Truman Show thing going on. If you haven't seen the Truman Show, it's this movie with Jim Carrey where like he is basically living in a TV show that's being watched by like America, and like he has no idea that he's in it. Very good show. If you haven't, go check it out. It creates paranoia. Some people have something called like the Truman Show disorder, where like they think they're actually in a TV show and the world's built around them because of it. So, I mean, if you have paranoia, maybe don't watch it. Okay, time back in. This episode's going to be extra long. I'm a little too extra talky today, and it's getting late. But that doesn't matter. We're having fun, right? He sees this lady, and like she's like looping, setting up Halloween decorations, and like there's a tear falling down her face. It's really weird, and Vision is clearly haunted by this, and he moves on, and he's walking down the street, and then we get this ad, and this is by far the oddest one for me that I've seen yet. It's this claymation ad where a boy is stranded on an island, and a shark brings him a yogurt called Yo Mag. The boy can't open the yogurt, and it like night turns to day, and then like days pass, and like the boy slowly becomes a skeleton and then like dies alone on the island. Like, what the heck does this mean? What is this referencing? I am so confused. Am I missing something? I know I'm missing something. I know it's referencing something. What is it? I know I'll read it tomorrow, and I will talk about it next week. Or I'll forget to. But anyways, maybe you're telling me, obviously it's blah, 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 but gosh, you're so like tired right now. You don't even notice. It's so clearly blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, dang it. Tomorrow I'm going to be like, it's so clearly blah, blah, blah. Sorry, guys. Okay. So Wanda, Pietro, Tommy, and Billy are walking out of the movies. Now, this is where we see, above at the titles, the movies are Incredibles and The Parent Trap. Pietro says he's just doing his part. He came to town to stir the pot. That's what you wanted, right? And Wanda asks, what happened to your accent? And then he asks, what happened to yours? Details are fuzzy, shot in the street for no reason at all, and the next thing I knew, I heard you calling me. I knew you needed me. Man, so this is where it kind of, I was thinking, this wasn't any bit of the Pietro that was killed in Age of Ultron. This was straight up a Pietro sucked out of that X-Men universe, the other X-Men movies, Days of Future Past, and that X-Men universe. But it seems to be characteristics of both. This Pietro has elements of those other X-Men movies from whence he came, which is not the MCU. So I'd recommend doing a little Google search on this Quicksilver and Evan Peters, I believe the actor's name is. And if you want to do a little watch of X-Men First Class, X-Men Days of Future Past, no, I don't know, it's that series. They're pretty good movies. I think those are the first two, and I can't think of the rest of the names of them at this moment. Dark Phoenix was not very good in my opinion. Some people liked it, but the act wasn't the actor's fault. It was just kind of a messy movie. Anyways, they're mixing realities here, and he remembers getting shot, so that's very interesting to me. Now back at the Sword military base, undercover now, Darcy, Wu, Monica, Dream Team, hashtag Dream Team. They are hacking via Darcy into the system, and they want to get in. They want to get the data on Hayward's devices that we saw flying into previous episodes into the force field. I was like, what is that? I don't know what those are. We'll find out later. That's what those are. And what they find is pretty interesting. Hayward is tracking decaying vibranium, meaning he is tracking vision. He's able to see the whereabouts of the people of Westview via where vision is. So where vision is, he can kind of see like life signs, kind of. And like basically like an accurate head count is what Wu says, in a sense of like people's well-beings. And he's like seeing people on the Wu's seeing people on the outskirts of town, and he's like, are those people alive? And then we get on the outskirts of town with Vision, and now mostly like everyone is frozen. It's really creepy, and at this point Vision just like drops the costume, and he just starts flying up into the air, and he gets a vantage point offering pretty much a bird's eye view of the entire city. One end of the city is bright and bustling. You can like even hear the kids laughing. And then the other side is completely dark, except for one light, which he flies down towards. And it's a car stopped in the middle of the road. Agnes is in the car, and she's in a witch costume. Vision, asks what she's doing there, so far outside of town, and she's like asking where town square is, and Vision's like, Vision's like, you don't know this? This is the town you grew up in. And he touches her head like he does with his former colleague and wakes her up, sort of, and she immediately recognizes him as an Avenger. And she even calls him by name. And he's like, what's an Avenger? And she's like, am I dead? And he's like, why? Because you are. And she's just screaming, Dad, 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 you're dead. She's screaming at him. And he's like, it is my intention to reach those outside of Westview and make... I'm not trying to do a Vision impression. I just love him. And make more sense of our situation. No one leaves. Wanda won't even let us think about it. And then she starts like laughing insanely, like maniacally. He touches her head again, and she goes back, in quotes, to normal. And he says, I will fix this, Agnes. And she says, okay, dokie, neighbor. And she drives away. I'm a little bit sus. Okay. I'm a little bit sus of Agnes right now. Everyone's Halloween costume has had a real intention behind their character this episode. Agnes is a witch, so I wonder what that means for her character, and if she is maniacal and in some way manipulating this situation. I've definitely seen speculation of that online too, but I'm not trying to dogpile that theory. I just feel like that one has more weight than Mephisto, who I don't know anything about, and I don't know. I'm seeing some, seeing some signs of maniacal intent. I don't know. I'm getting some vibes from Agnes, but I could be wrong. That's what I'm thinking right now, though. Vision walks through the field towards the energy barrier. Meanwhile, Darcy, Wu, and Monica are finalizing their plans to go back into Westview. Darcy warns Monica that going back in is changing her cells on a molecular level. Monica is so dedicated to helping Wanda that it doesn't even matter to her, the risk. I'm completely seeing superpowers coming to Monica, and me being the Marvel noob that I am, I'm almost completely confident that there is obviously a big comic book backstory to this character. I have a very generous, awesome friend who recently ordered me the Marvel Encyclopedia, so I may be using that to reference post episodes in the future, and we may be using that. We'll see. And contradicting exactly what I said moments ago about not knowing any of that stuff, but maybe we can learn together. Yeah. Okay. So back with Wanda and Pietro. Pietro starts talking about the episode, like the actual episode, like that's happening around them, and contemplating about the world that she's orchestrating around them, and like he's asking her, like, how are you even doing all this? And Wanda says that she remembers feeling alone, and feeling nothingness. Like, I guess when he asks how you're doing this, it's like how you brought me back from the dead, like how you brought me here. And then she looks away from him, and then when she looks back, he's pale and like ridden with bullet wounds in the exact same spot he was shot in Age of Ultron. So that was disturbing, and it was kind of reminiscent of when Vision was shown in that episode, I believe 4 ending, with the stone ripped out of his head and he was all gray and disturbing. Very disturbing. Yeah, so meanwhile, Vision starts making his way through the energy barrier, and I had to pause here. I couldn't imagine what he was gonna look like on the other side. Just like I said, like, what is he like? What's gonna happen? What, like, is he gonna Is he gonna be gray? Is he gonna, is he gonna collapse? Exactly. It was as dramatic as you could think. At first, it looks like Vision is coming out of the portal, looking completely normal. Infinity Stone intact. For a second, I thought he was bringing the Mind Stone back into the regular reality. It was insane. But then, the scene starts to unfold. And it was really dramatic. It was hard to watch. The reality starts to break, and the energy field starts to pull him back in, and he starts to break apart, and he's starting to get destroyed very slowly. This is the third time we are seeing Vision slowly destroyed on screen in the MCU, and I'm not okay with it. I need to see Vision destroy somebody now. He needs to fight. He is laying on the ground in pain far too often. He has been tortured enough, and I think he needs to make it out of this show alive. He deserves to live. I don't know. Come on, people. Do you agree with me? This is hard on this guy. He is such a hero. All he wants, all he's doing, he won't really. I don't think he technically can survive outside. He really can outside without Wanda's powers of the barrier. Yet all he wants is to get out and to help and save the people in it. It's so tragic. Billy feels something is wrong and literally hears Hayward say he really wants out, doesn't he? About Vision. Hayward is he's something else, isn't he? Billy tells his mom and Pietro that what's going on, and Pietro says, your dead husband can't die twice, right? Trying to be snide, and Wanda blasts him with a burst of energy, and she gets real serious. She's like, Billy, you really need to focus and tell me where your dad is. And just when I think Wanda's somehow gonna get to Vision really fast somehow and run to his aid and physically fight and save him and pull him back in or something, it's the exact opposite. Her eyes turn red again, and she closes them, and everything starts to glow. Everything. And we see outside the base, the military base, and the boundary starts expanding. And Hayward and it's so good to see the bad guy. It technically is Hayward's the secondary bad guy. He's the good guy. He's the good guy who is annoyingly bad, and we don't like him as an audience. Wanda is bad, but she's pro antagonist. I don't know. It's so tough. This is what makes it a great show. So much confliction in the characters and their actions. Anyway, Hayward is freaking out, and poor Darcy is handcuffed to the car. This is insane. You're really comfortable at this point in the show with the boundary being where it is. It hasn't moved. Wanda has left it where it was. That Westview is where it is. Wanda hasn't drawn that line any further. You haven't really even in your mind, the show hasn't let you think that it can move. For some reason, you're comfortable, I am, and at least comfortable in that she's not gonna move it. But now it's hurricaning towards everybody. It's insane. Even Monica and Wu are driving way down the road in a car, and it seems to be getting close to them. I think they're absorbed by it. They're almost absorbed by it, if anything. It catches Vision, and it saves him. It goes over Darcy, but we don't get to see what it does to her yet. It goes over a helicopter, and it turns the helicopter into a hot air balloon. I love this. It goes over soldiers, turns them into clowns. It goes over some more soldiers and turns them into mimes. It goes over a big military vehicle and that becomes a funnel truck. And now I want funnel cakes. Hayward is the only one that seems to get away. He's radioing into his squad, and he can't get anyone. One of his soldiers gives him a funny little remark, a little look, and he's freaked. He's spooked. And the final shot is we see Scarlet Witch open her eyes. It's not Wanda, man. Scarlet Witch in her iconic comic outfit. I know enough about the comics to know that, I've looked up Scarlet Witch since the, Age of Ultron. I know what she looked like in the comics. She looked so cool in this episode when she put her hands down and the red beams came out of her hands, and her eyes glowed, and then like all the people stomped, and oh my gosh, the beam, she's getting so powerful. How powerful is she? Holy Lord. Oh my gosh, what a freaking episode. Now, like, Darcy's in there, everyone's in there, Wu is in there. It's like a matrix, and we're moving forward in time towards, like, regular time now. Like, what are we going to do when we get towards, like, 2012 when, like, Avengers happens? Is she going to, like, rewrite, like, reality? Like, the Avengers didn't happen? Or are we going to get towards... You know what I mean? Like, there's 3 episodes left. If I'm correct, they are going to be action-packed, awesome episodes. I can't imagine we're going to get some early 2000s. Like, I don't know where they're going to go with it. I wonder if we're going to get like a mockumentary. I think, if I'm correct, in one of the advertisements, I saw something mockumentary related. By the way, now that we're through this episode, what did you think of it? Was it crazy? Were you as excited about it as I was? Last episode was longer, and I talked more about this one. I think there was just a lot more meat and potatoes in this one. There's a little more to unpackage, for me at least. And did you see the new trailer for Hawkeye and Winter Soldier? I did. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited for it. We're going to be covering it here on Marvel Maniac and MCU After Show. We got Hawkeye. We got, Winter Soldier. Oh, and you know who else is back? Yeah, we got that baddie from Captain America Civil War, Zemo. And as I said before, not a big comics reader, but I know a lot of the iconic comic costumes and stuff. He's going to be donning his classic purple mask in that show. The trailer was very cool, and I think it's time Falcon had some serious, even more like centered action scenes. This looks like it's going to be another one to just unfold, unravel, and I can't wait to get to it with you later in the year. But we have 3 more WandaVisions to go, and boy, oh boy, I can't wait to unpackage them with you. This has been the longest episode yet of Marvel Maniac and MCU After Show. I am so excited to have you here today. Thank you for coming by. Like I said, all theories, comments, anything, marvelmaniacpod@gmail.com. I want to hear from you. Rate the show. Please leave a comment on it in the section on whatever you listen to your podcast on. It goes a long way for the show. Follow us on Twitter at Marvel Maniac Pod. We accept donations at Mr. Honest Podcast on PayPal. Everything goes back into producing the show. Mr. Honest Podcast is the base of this show. Go check us out if you really like this, what you're hearing here. And we'll be back next week for episode 7 of WandaVision. You take care, Avengers. Disassemble. Until next time.